this was how that place was in those days. The three vents up there, that was a source of light and ventilation for the Africans kept in this very space. And the dungeon divided into 5 chambers. This is the first chamber. As many as 200 men could be held 200 men in space. And there were these small wooden buckets placed at the corners of the chamber for the men here to defecate in them. But the buckets were not enough. So most times the toilet, urine down on the floor. And the Africans were kept in the waste. They stayed in the waste. We see a small drain created for the urine to run through into the sea. Fed twice a day. The Africans ate in the morning and evening. The food was put in the palms. And the British kept them in these conditions for 2 weeks to 3 months, waiting for the slave ships to arrive in Britain. Many people died in the dungeons. And when one died, the body taken out and thrown into the sea. The floor, we see the bricks. Please walk closer. Let me show you something on the side. Okay. So on this small part of the floor, we don't see the bricks. What we see looks like compressed soil. And that is how the whole floor was until the 1970s. In the 70s, a group of archaeologists came from the University of Ghana to do some works. And when they moved in here, they excavated the floor to reveal the bricks. They examined what they had excavated. The conclusion, it was all decomposed human waste. So the feces, food waste, the blood of the Africans, with time, it all piled up, covering the bricks, and then decayed or hardened into what these archaeologists had excavated. They left this small part untouched so that visitors could see for themselves. So this is all the decomposed human waste of the enslaved Africans kept in here.
The ancestors.
Hello, you're welcome. I can take a card. Hello. Okay. This is the first place you've been, so you haven't missed.
Yes.
Don't worry, I will brief you up a few things you missed. In the 1700s, at the peak of the transatlantic slave trade, the British had Christian missionaries coming from England to this slave castle to preach Christianity in the neighboring towns. And when these missionaries came, they did build or establish a church. So during the slave trade, there was an English or Anglican church right in the slave castle. And the church was on top of this dungeon, just above the dungeon. So while holding the Africans down here, the same British worshipped or practiced Christianity right above the Africans.
Church above slavery.
When we continue out, I will point out or show you where they had a church in those days. Any questions? Yes. Okay. Alright, so we can walk forward just a little bit. So 5 chambers, this another chamber, again as many as 200 men we held in this space with just 2 vents and a source of light and ventilation. And a quick look up there, we see an opening that was an observatory or something like a spy hole. So during the slave trade, sometimes the British will have a soldier there with a lantern or a torch to watch or to observe the Africans in this very chamber. don't see bricks over there. In the first chamber, we could see the bricks. So apart from the first chamber, there haven't been any excavation in the other 4 chambers. So all what we are standing or walking on, this is all the decomposed human waste of the castle. Should we do an excavation, we will be seeing bricks, just like the first chamber. Okay. Let me add this before we walk to the last chamber. The British had people coming into the dungeon every morning to count the Africans they were holding in here. They were keeping records of all that. And one thing, that is when they normally see the dead captives. So someone can die in the dungeon at 11 p.m. or 1 a.m. Those in here stay with the corpse until the morning when these people come in to do the counting. So there were countless times when captives were held in here with dead bodies for hours before the bodies were taken out and thrown into the sea.
Do they teach this in the curriculum in schools here?
Yeah, they do.
Because they don't teach this in the curriculum in the schools in Babylon.
Wow. Here, previously, you
Not in
had to get
Philadelphia.
to the high school before. I think now they are teaching from a very young age. Yes. So one thing, we have school kids visiting this place than any other group of people. Because the government is trying to encourage people to know about the issues from a very young age. Yeah. Let's see the last chamber. There is something of interest. So the last chamber, again designed to hold 200 Africans. And what you see here is a traditional shrine, a shrine that belongs to the local people in the town. So the locals in the town who practice the religion of the ancestors, the African traditional religion, they do come here to do that. There's a priest in charge, but he's not here now. But the shrine, it was built long after the British had left. So when the British were holding Africans in here, this was not here. So one will ask, why is a shrine here? It is here because of its historical and spiritual connection to the land on which the slave castle is built. The local history is that before the Europeans came to the community, the ancestors, the Africans in the community had the shrine on the land. So the land was a sacred ground for the locals in the community. But when the Europeans came and occupied the land, they prevented the local people from having access. And the British, they stayed in control of the slave castle until just about 65 years ago, 1957. When we fought and declared our independence. So after independence, when the British left, the locals in the town sent a request to the government at that time that they want the shrine back on the land, its original home. But for that to happen, the government would have had to demolish the whole structure. But there was a compromise. The government rather gave the space so that the local people could build the shrine. So here, because of its connection to the land. And behind this wall, behind this, is an underground tunnel, a tunnel built to connect this chamber to the sea, about 70 meters long. And the British used the tunnel as a passage. In those days, when the slave ships arrived to the beach, the men in the dungeon, they were not taken out through the main door of the ships. The soldiers rather walked or move the men through the tunnel, chained together, all the way to the beach. At the beach, they are forced into boats. The boats take them to the ships on the sea before they are taken to the Americas and the Caribbean to be enslaved on the plantation farms and never to return home to their motherland. The British, they were the ones who blocked or closed the entrance to the tunnel. They closed it around 1833, supposedly to symbolize the end of slavery in British colonies. When we continue out, I will show you parts of the underground tunnel. Any question about this chamber, please?
Are you going to pour some libations?
Oh, okay. The corner is an extension. It's part of this chamber. There is no door or exit on that side. Or like had the priest been here, so I'm not authorized to do that over here. Okay. The wreaths are all here in remembrance of the ancestors. So these are brought by visitors to pay homage to the enslaved Africans who died and those who survived the journey across the Atlantic Ocean. Any questions before we continue and see the other places? Okay. We still have the female dungeons to see. There were 2 punishment cells created to hold the Africans who rebelled, the freedom fighters. We'll have a look at these punishment cells. And then we will be taking a step out of what we call the door of no return, the exit to the beach or to the station. So let us continue and let's see these other places.
Got it? You here? Cape Coast. Slave Pastor Dungeon.
So are you an educator or you just fond of history?
Oh no, I'm an educator.
Okay. You history, science, or you just teach the gospel? Oh, okay. Well, we're in the
I preach and teach the gospel, science, mathematics.
Okay.
Yeah. I was once a student of Dr. Malachi, New York, but once I seen that there was spirits of error in there, I had to be there alone. And Brother Malcolm.
I'm Brother John.
The castle currently
Like the Epistle of James.
Yeah, very good. Very good book.
They were not, the building of the structure, they were not using concrete, they were using clay mortar and then lime powder. Lime powder, they make it from these shells. They grind, they soak, that is what they use to bind. Yeah. So, the structure currently is 357 years old. I talked about the church. That was the quick turn about the entrance, the room with the 2 windows partially open. That was the first English or Anglican church established on our land. So whilst holding the Africans down there, the British worship right up. So we now use the place as a children's library, school kids and stay. They did bury some kids. An African was buried here, and 3 British. Let's walk closer. So the Christian missionaries who came from England to preach came speaking English. We had our own language. So what these missionaries did was they took some African boys from the town to England to train them as missionaries so they could bring them back and use them to preach. And one of these boys came back alive. The name Kweku. And as we all know, Kweku, the name for a Wednesday born male. Now, Kweku was born in the town in 1741. His father was directly involved in the slave trade. The father was a middleman bringing captives to auction here to the British. When Kweku was just about 11 years old, the British convinced his father and Kweku was taken away to England. In England, he became an Anglican priest, the first African to be ordained one. After becoming an Anglican priest around 1765, the British brought him back. And when Kweku came back, he had a new or a different name. So in England, he was baptized, given the name Philip. And over there, they were mispronouncing his original name. Kweku sounded as Kwaku. So he was taken as Kweku, but came back as Philip Kwaku. And the British used him. He stayed in this slave castle preaching Christianity in the town. He was also used to promote Western education. So the oldest primary school in Ghana was named after him, the Philip Kwaku Boys Schools in Cape Coast. He died in 1816 at the age of 75. Married, right? So he's a native of the town who was used by the British to promote Christianity and Western education during the slave trade.
Wow.
Any question about Kweku or Philip Kwaku?
I'm also Kweku. Wednesday
okay.
born. Yeah. Wow.
So that's your brother from another mother.
Yo.
All right, let's walk closer over here. Just a second, please. Sorry. Now, in 1807, the British government passed a law in England to abolish or to stop the transatlantic slave trade. But when the law was passed in England, the British had absolutely no plans of packing their bags and going home. And the main reason was the gold and the other resources. They wanted control of our resources. And to them, the only way of getting control was by creating a colony, bringing the towns around on the British rule. So in 1830, the British government appointed George McLean as a governor of the slave castle. And McLean was brought here to start a colony to bring the towns around under British rule. George McLean started what became known as the Gold Coast Colony. In 1957, when we declared our independence, we then changed the name from Gold Coast to Ghana. Now, McLean stayed and worked for 17 years. He died of malaria in 1847 at the age of 46. His wife, in the middle grade, her name Letitia Elizabeth London. She came from England to visit the husband here in 1838. But when she came to visit, in less than 2 months, Letitia was found dead in the husband's bedroom. The cause of death was very controversial. And they found her dead with an empty bottle of peroxic acid beside the dead body. The rumors or the gossips had it that when she came to visit, she caught McLean with another woman. The husband had a mistress. So many assumed Letitia committed suicide out of the pain of seeing the husband with the black woman. But after she died and was buried, McLean continued his relationship with the African woman. They even had a daughter together. So people became suspicious. There were speculations that someone killed or murdered Letitia. And who could have done that? The suspect, of course, was McLean and the mistress. The teacher was 36 years when she died here, less than 2 months after coming from. And the last one there, an army officer, the name C.B. Whitehead. He worked here also during the slave trade. He died in 1812 at the age of 38. The cause of death is unknown. 3 British and the name of the town changed later to Philip. Any question about it? Let's see the water.
Got some fish, fried fish.
Please be careful. Anything goes down. Estimated to be about 18 feet deep and built originally to store rainwater. So they were using the rainwater for the Africans they were keeping in the dungeon. That is what they gave the Africans to drink after eating, but now connected to the pipes. So these days we store pipe of water in it, but built originally to store rainwater. 2 of them, the other right. Okay.
Yeah, they talk about slavery.
Fired to hit enemy ships, break them on impact, create holes in them so that the water sail goes in the air. And the enemies were the French, the Dutch, and the other Europeans. There is no written record of an attack on the British here, so we believe they did not even use them. They were here just in case they had other European countries attacking. The cannons and the cannonballs.
Wow.
Any questions about these countries? Let us continue this way. Don't worry, after the tour you can still walk back if you want to make more. In the middle dungeon where the shrine is, I talked about an underground tunnel built to connect that large chamber to the sea. We are currently on top of the tunnel. The tunnel runs beneath us. But then the entrance behind the shrine, so we couldn't see how big or deep it is from here. Let's walk down and let's see part of it. tunnel, this is part of the underground tunnel. From behind the shrine in the Shakyo, the Africans were marched through. No one was coming out or going in. An observatory. A soldier will be here with a gun, watching, observing as the Africans are being moved. So it's just an observatory to the tunnel.
Last time I looked over at the alligator pond, my glasses fell off. Take them off. I said the alligators could have that. We'll go there.
Another observatory. Soldiers will stand there, the tunnel, being an enclosed space, it was always that. The captains were led by soldiers holding torches or lanterns. And there were soldiers also walking, armed soldiers walking with the captains. One thing, they stayed in the chains while being moved through the tunnel. So this also an observatory to the tunnel. Let's see the end of the underground. About 70 meters long. This is the end of the underground tunnel. The tunnel runs this way. They were bringing the Africans in this direction. But this side was walled or closed also to symbolize the end of slavery in the colonies in 1833. During the transatlantic slave trade, there was a door, an exit over here. Behind it, the beach. So the British soldiers moved the Africans out this way to the ships. But as the slave trade was going on, the British blocked or closed the exit. The reason, they saw that when the sea waves were rough or when the tides were high, seawater was getting in here, was a problem. And after closing the exit, the British created another exit because they were still taking Africans away. The other exit created is down there. And that is what we call the door of no return. Like I said, it is still open. So we will be taking a step out.
Can you lift that? Can you lift that? Yeah. Let me see. Let me see you lift that. You can't bowl with that. Ain't no bowling going on with that. That's a cannonball.
The dungeons in which the women were kept are down to rulers. But the African women who resisted rape by the British, the women who fought for their freedom, they were beaten and then locked in. This was the female punishment cell. As many as 10 women were put in this space. And an outlet was created for toilet and milk. A woman could be in for about 1 week. And what they do is they starve the woman. The idea to starve her, to try and break her spirit. The intention is that the next time the woman will be submissive or she will give in business. A woman who resisted rape, fought for their freedom, they were beaten, locked, and starved in the female punishment.
It's terrible.
Any question about the female?
So what did they do with the rest? If that was the family, what did they do with the children?
Okay, I'll answer that.
Good question. Remember in the song you say through the doors of no return, time to go back? This is the door of no return. It actually says it on top. You know what Aquaba means? Welcome. Aquaba.
So the women and children, they were kept. Okay, as many as 200 women and children were here. There were children as young as 6 years, kidnapped with their families and brought to slave castles, and they keep them with the women here. There were pregnant women. Some women were brought pregnant. Some the pregnancies in the late stages. So there were cases of women giving birth in a dungeon. The conditions here are the same as a male dungeon. There are 2 vents and 1 there, making it 3 vents. These were the source of light and ventilation. And there were these small wooden buckets also placed at the corners for the women in case to go to toilet. The buckets were not enough. So the toilet, urine, menstruation down on the floor. And they stayed in the waste. And they were here for 2 weeks. Some stayed in these conditions for 3 months. Many women and children died. When one dies, the body taken out and thrown into the sea. So they were treated the same as men. And the dungeons were 2. Another 200 were put in that other dungeon opposite this very. Now, the question was asked with regard to women who got pregnant through rape. That the babies, what happened to the babies? That was the question, right? Said.